Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Friday edition of Moohead Radio. I'm your host, a big and furry bovine. And not that I've done a hell of a lot of show prep for the program, but there is a common thread or a theme that kind of runs through everything that I'm reading. And I'm not reading things on Twitter, obviously. And no, I'm not going to use the other name for it because it's stupid. Not that Twitter's intelligent, but yeah. You know what I mean. When a bipolar guy's running it, you're wondering why it's up and down and this and that. And yeah. What I'm seeing, and it's interesting, is injuries. You know, you start out in practicing at the Greenbrier Resort in West Virginia, and Deontay Foreman goes down with what they were afraid was a neurological issue that could have been very dangerous. And the nearest hospital was in Roanoke, Virginia. And you wonder how these decisions are made, you see. It's like they have a deal to have nice, cushy resort and do their practices, but the organization is paid, the Greenbrier, and that's where they go. But it may not be the best place to go, seeing as how all around the league, every time these practices start up and team activities and practices begin, somebody gets really badly hurt. Fortunately, in the case of Deontay Foreman, it was, boy, a stinger maybe. Nobody's really talking. But what could have been and looked like it may have been not so good, he was back. So he didn't have to go to Roanoke. And believe me, nobody should have to go to Roanoke if they don't absolutely have to. And we're going to bring Bronk into the fray here. Hi, Bronk. How you doing?
Whoa.
Yeah. So I was just telling people that, the nearest hospital to White Sulphur Springs, where the Greenbrier Resort is Roanoke, Virginia. And nobody, even an injured,
God.
you don't want to be in Roanoke.
That's like a I-81, and that's miles away from West Virginia.
Oh yeah, I mean, you would have to be
long way.
medevaced in. Yeah, it's
So
not
what
one
happened?
of those.
I just turned on. So what are you talking about?
Deontay Foreman in yesterday's practice was laid out and was taken off on a board and hauled off the field because it didn't look like he was doing so well, and it was a goddamn kickoff return practice.
Oh God, this weird kickoff thing. I saw a couple of those from last night. I don't know about it. I don't think I have an opinion really.
No, because I think no matter what special teams you're working on, there are going to be injuries caused by it. But it again, what I would like to see is teams to bring in more bodies and let them injure one another. And your proven starters don't have to go through this shit.
I mean, there should be a bigger roster in less games. We know this, but this kickoff thing looks a lot like, an Aussie rules football.
Yeah, it looks like chaos. It looks like organized chaos. Yeah,
they robbed it from from some sort of rugby, union. So I don't know. Who knows what they're doing?
Yeah, but what I do know is that the players' union can't do a damn thing about it. They're powerless to do anything. But every year, people are going down, and in many cases, people losing an entire season for something so insignificant that it is like, oh, we're going to bring the press in, we're going to promote the team. And then, this game is so goddamn dangerous, you can look at somebody funny and they'll drop to the ground,
It's almost like they need to stop the kickoffs entirely. Just give the ball to the other team on the 25-yard line. Get on with it,
Okay, who's in the studio? All right, let's go ahead.
For the reach around.
Yeah, here we go. Hey, what's up, Yo?
Oh my God! Hold on. It's that Houston, Texas guy.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we're happy to have you here. We're always happy to have guests on the program. We encourage it at every possible opportunity.
Yeah,
But
because it dilutes the talent of the program.
Mr.
Why not?
Mr. Moohead,
yes,
can you explain the new kickoff rule to me? Because I do not like it. I hate it. I hate it. I
No one
can't even
can
stand
explain it.
watch stuff.
it's organized chaos. I mean, and you're asking somebody who is so used to the old way that I don't even completely understand how this thing works, except I guess the way I visualize it, and maybe I'm not visualizing it correctly, is that the team that kicks the ball off, the guy kicks the ball, but you can't get a running start, so you can't get
Correct.
that
Momentum,
early push.
That
They're
missileized momentum. Yeah.
And something to the effect of that you have layers of blockers on certain yard lines. I mean,
Yep.
it's the whole design of it is if you fair catch the ball, what do you get it on the 25? Is that what they're saying?
Yeah, well, to my point of view, they have this landing zone that they have to kick the ball into. And if they kick it beyond it, then it goes like to the 30. And if they, do something else, it goes to the 20 and blah, blah, blah. It doesn't make sense. But it looks a lot like Aussie rules football is what it looks like.
Yeah.
This is the thing, though. There's 5 seconds left in the game, and you're down 1, and the team has to kick the ball off. With the old style, you at least can,
You have a chance. Yeah.
Lateral, maybe a Stanford marching band, Colorado experience. I'm not saying it happens, but what's the likelihood of this new rule? You're going to get that run back.
Well,
You're not.
There'll be touchdowns.
You're not going to see
There'll
two turns going back.
No, it's an opportunity for more players to get hurt, and
Yeah.
Jimmy Haslam to laugh about it and turn over to D and go, there's another one. Hey!
Yep.
I don't know. The other thing that really floored me was that you're not allowed now to do an onside kick except at the tail end of a game that you're trailing by.
Yeah, I mean, you used to be able to do that, catch people off guard, and fucking change the game around and get a free possession.
Well,
like 2-1.
I understand the first 3 quarters not kicking the ball, but in the fourth quarter, you shouldn't have to just be losing. If the game's tied, you should be able to still onside kick it too, right?
Well, no, they're not allowed to. The only onside kicks that'll be tolerated in the NFL are in last possession situations, Hail Mary situations at the end of games in which you're trailing. So if you're foolish enough to try the 3% chance of recovering an onside kick in the middle of a game, and you should be rewarded for the risk factor, or you should be hammered by the fan base for trying such a stupid thing.
Yeah.
But regulating it out of the league, the thing that's amazing to me is they said, we're getting rid of kickoffs because it's dangerous, and we're trying to prove that we are going to be safety oriented in the NFL. Right. And it's a crock of shit. It's always been a crock of shit. I've been saying this for 21 years. It's a crock of shit. It's just public relations, but it's not reality.
Have they done studies to determine if the kickoff was in fact had more injuries than on the field play? Did they do it, or are they just guesstimating?
No, because they claimed, well, it wasn't as big a problem as we thought. But you know what the truth is? They got to get that revenue from broadcast, and they got to have more titillation and excitement. Besides the gambling, diseased people gambling their families' education money on football games, that's not enough. What's enough is making sure that people are excited at all times, and instead of just watching somebody, just because all kickers now
banging 80 yards, and
except for Cade York, his would go slightly sideways and out of bounds. The team would get it at the 40.
At least line everybody up at the 50. Do that. Line them up. Why are they lined up on the other side of the 40 or the 30? Basically, there's no chance in returning the kicks. You have no chance to return a kick with this new kickoff.
The big point I want to make about this is that kickers now are irrelevant because you can get a normal bloke to bloop the ball up 50 yards and have it land in that landing zone. You could have an extra roster spot of like a proper player. You could get, I'm sure there's guys like defensive backs on the Browns that can kick the ball 40, 50 yards up in the air, and you wouldn't need a kicker unless just to kick field goals.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if they wanted more excitement in kickoffs so that more touchdowns would be scored. They could just have a sniper on the sideline and they could just shoot some of the football players on the
Randomly,
defensive squad randomly, and that would give the offense an advantage, you know.
Yeah. Just shoot him in the legs or something.
I mean, do y'all like the new kickoff rules personally, or y'all kind of like 50-50? I hate it. I just looked at
I
it.
don't know. I mean, I don't have an opinion yet. I haven't seen enough of it.
It's just the guy on the initial kickoff. It's like the guys are already like right next to him, literally as he catches the ball. He can maybe run 10 yards. It's like, what's the point? Why not just give them the ball, like Bronx said? Just give them the ball in the 25.
Yeah,
if you're
exactly.
So about injuries, just eliminate the whole thing and just put the damn ball on the 25-yard line.
If you're really concerned about injuries, why don't you just get rid of the game? I mean, look at
like
all the people. All
like
of these
football.
goddamn people are playing in practice, and they've carried two of our guys off the field with concussions. God damn it!
Who's the other guy?
And they're wearing the new protective helmet.
Oh,
the one
that's worse.
I told you that it makes it worse. I told you that when they took away headgear in boxing.
Yeah.
Because hitting a man in the head is going to cause brain damage. And it doesn't really matter in the end how many ounces the gloves are, where you hit him in the head. You end up talking like this, you know. It's, hey, Paulie, you know, I don't know where I am. Yeah. So they put in these extra padded helmets, and you know what it's like? It's like non-scientific people. I'm walking a very narrow tightrope here, but non-scientific people trying to make scientific conclusions out of things and say, well, that's easy enough to prevent brain damage. Just put some extra padding up there. But yeah, as they found out with headgear and boxing, it just made it worse. It didn't make it better. So again, two Browns, Deontay Foreman first, and now who was it? There was Elijah
idea.
Moore. Elijah Moore.
Oh God, the guy's a walking injury. He trips over the yard lines.
Well, Deontay Foreman he's had injuries before. He tore his Achilles with us when we first signed him. So
I mean,
that happened on a Russian touchdown. Yeah, like he tore his Achilles right there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, I guess I look at Deontay Foreman. They were hoping that, hey, he could be a short yardage guy, like,
Is that like we had?
Year, I mean,
every year we have to sacrifice some kickoff returner to the gods. It seems like every year some fucker gets hurt in August that does our kickoffs.
Well,
ridiculous.
Well, you need short, you need short yardage. You got to have a blaster back, and that's what Deontay Foreman they were hoping for, and he may still be able to do that. I don't know.
Who knows?
In certain situations, I think he can. It's just he's injury prone, man.
Yeah, and that's why you don't run him, as a workhorse back there.
Yeah.
But the thing that running back. Go ahead.
No, I said the running back position is a very dangerous position. It's like what has the least amount of shelf life at all positions in the league.
Yeah, and
about 3 years, I think.
Well, what worries me is our wide receiver room. Amari Cooper is exceedingly injury prone.
Yeah,
Elijah Moore. I mean,
trips over the sidelines. Yeah,
but it isn't just that. It's that when he was with New York, his attitude was questioned. Okay.
Well, then he's like half the wide receivers in the league are like that.
So, but except he minus the talent for him. I mean, he doesn't have the physical attributes to be able to get away with that. So that's a problem. And, and Deshaun Watson rested because on the seventh day, Don't get
Dude.
mad at me. Don't get mad at me. Just recognize that it's Friday. Yeah, but on the 7th day he rested, and so DTR got to take a bunch
He's
of
still alive.
turns. Yeah, DTR actually they said looked good, but he did in the preseason. But once you ramp up the pass rush and he stares into it and goes, yeah,
He is an August god. He is like Armand Smith. Remember the great Armand Smith?
Armand
He is a god.
Smith. Well,
Yeah.
how about Watkins, the wide receiver? Where is he
Yeah,
now?
Watkins. I have no idea. Yeah.
I mean that guy caught everything, but
He
I mean
did.
herpes, out patterns, fly patterns, AIDS. The guy could
AIDS.
catch anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, but regular season came around. He was lifted off our practice squad. Somebody took him, but he never played in the NFL.
No, he's probably rotting in the NFC North somewhere.
I have a question for you, Amsterdam. What's a second rounder? What's a first rounder? I just forgot.
Reach arounder.
Well, is Deshaun Watson on his is this like his breakout year, come out year? Do y'all think that this is the year that
Hey, yes.
That would be a twist.
That would be a great twist to the story.
That would be a twist.
But then he could go in and he could box in the Olympics and beat the shit out of a woman legally. We'll get to that in just a moment because that's another thing that's bothering me.
Oh,
I mean,
everything's bothering you. You're just old
no,
crotchety.
and I am
You're
a social
crotchety.
liberal. I'm a social liberal.
Yeah, you keep saying that.
But they said we're not going to put women on the front lines, and it's like if their stamina isn't as good, then but there are metrics involved in that. But if you're not going to put women on the front lines and just going to give them whatever positions there are in the military, and why in the hell would you let a man into women's boxing to beat the shit out of women? I mean, what? Be that as it may.
He should be in the NFL, or she should be in the NFL, whatever.
Remind me of the boxing thing later, because I don't want to get totally diverted. Goodness gracious. But at training camp today, there were 11 on 11, 7 on 7s, and then 1-on-1s where they were throwing the ball to receivers who were trying to beat defenders 1-on-1. But the thing that I latched on to were a couple of deep throws by Deshaun Watson that looked awfully good. And Cedric Tillman getting behind people. And I know it's early. I don't know what to expect. Was Cedric Tillman just lost last year? Is he stupid and he doesn't know how to run plays? He sure looked it at times last year.
Well, maybe it's Dorsey offense.
Was he just green? Right. Has the change in
Dorsey
offense
that's
has it simplified it for him? I don't know. But that's the wide receiver you want to keep your eyes on because he's 6'3" and he can go up after the ball. Then you've got Njoku, if he can remain healthy. And if he doesn't burn himself in a barbecue pit, then we'll be good to go. Yeah, Michael Jackson,
Ow!
The king of pot. Fire! Woo! Oh, sorry.
Wow.
Wouldn't he have been a great pairing with Earth, Wind, and Fire? He could have been the fire.
Yeah, exactly.
So at any rate, Deshaun Watson looks like he's throwing the ball okay, and nothing more I can say about that one way or the other. And Cedric Tillman has the physical attributes that the Cleveland Browns need. But we've been here before, and we've seen this before, and the real question is Cedric Tillman the second coming of Lawyer Tillman? I don't know if you remember him like that.
I do. He was drafted with Eric Metcalf. That's how long ago it was.
Yeah. And the bottom line is it's all going to unfold. But the thing that I saw in sports in Cleveland over the course of this week is injuries and determination.
Okay.
Injuries are part of every game, every sport. Yep. The question is, if you're Simone Biles and you're the greatest women's gymnast of all time, she's the GOAT. All right. Absolutely the GOAT.
Yeah.
And she hurts herself in the first opening round of the team. And then proceeds to win the overall by 2 points. Nobody was even close to her.
Yeah.
She's just the GOAT. But injuries are part of every sport, some worse than others. And gymnastics is terrible. It's really hard on the extremities, the knees, the joints. Really terrible.
Yeah.
And in football, we know what the injuries are. But in baseball, you know, look at the Guardians and their starting pitching. I mean, there's just one gigantic arm injury. It's so bad, and it's not just the Guardians; it's all over the league. That we brought in as our, haul from free agency, 2 guys who haven't even pitched this year.
Exactly. I was waiting for you to say something about that. We traded away these prospects for lame guys that have non-proven, recoverability from their surgeries. Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's like somebody asked, so what did you think, Mr. Moohead, about the free agency haul for the Cleveland Guardians? And I said, not bad. We're talking about basically 3 players. If you're talking about Cobb, and then you're talking about no, not that Cobb. Lee J. Cobb. That's what I was talking about. The other left-hander, who came from Detroit. I'm blanking on his name. But he hasn't. Yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm here all week.
8 miles away from Cleveland. So the bottom line is this. I said, Turner, is that his name? The center fielder that we got? Is that his name?
Ike, I think. Yeah, I'd have to look it up. Jeez.
The guy we got.
You're making me work.
Yeah, I have to get used to these people. But hey, he was swinging the bat well the first 2 games. He looks like he can get around on a fastball. He can pull the ball into the corner. He had a couple of doubles. I'm feeling okay about that. And actually, of all the 3 men, they all have, basically, 4 arms, because 2 of them don't have a pitching arm. And that's the problem with that. So injuries have hammered the Guardians. So, and they're trying to get extra help from, because the bullpen is being way overtaxed. And the starting pitching. And now they found out that Bybee has a sore shoulder.
Yeah, I'm
He's
reading
got a sore shoulder. Yeah. So, I mean, these guys are going to have to come up and do something. And that's where the determination comes in. And I'll tell you, a guy who's 32 years old, who's been probably the most consistent of all the Guardians pitchers, is Ben Lively.
Yeah.
And there's a guy, he was pitching, God almighty, in Korea.
Wow.
And it wasn't a baseball. He was
long way away.
Pitching used cars. No, he was pitching in Korean leagues. And I mean, he was nowhere. Matthew Boyd. That's right.
That's who you must be meaning.
Yeah, he and Cobb haven't thrown a pitch in the big leagues this year.
They haven't had a wank in about 2 years with their arms.
No, I mean, Noodle Roney. Yeah. So, who knows what's going to happen? But a guy like Ben Lively, you can see determination. You see that there's a guy who's been through hell, and he's a 9-6 pitcher. He's really pitched well, and I think he might be 10-6 now. And he's having a hell of a year, 3.5 earned run average. and he's kept us in virtually every game that he has pitched in. And so, so you have that. Then you have the Cavaliers, and the Cavaliers just gave a big extension to a player who refused to play with a rib injury. And so one who has no determination whatsoever, but I'm going to tell Cavalier fans, don't worry, because his teammates gave up on him last year, and signing him to a long-term will facilitate trading him.
That's a good point, actually. And his hairstyle makes him look taller than he really is.
Well,
so there you go.
Well,
can I
and
say
it makes
that?
him seem like he's trying harder than he really is. I don't know, but it will, because if you said to him, "Okay, we'll give you another season," and you pay him whatever for that season, and then you try to trade him, then he's not worth shit. But with a long-term contract, they have to agree that they're going to pick up, the contract on that, and that they'll have the future of that in that player.
Yeah, exactly.
Because inflation, it's you're not, if you don't control the future of a player, it's getting harder and harder to rent one.
Yeah,
because the prices just keep going up.
Yeah, apparently that's a cheap contract. I've been told, or I was told. So, 91 million is like a bargain, apparently.
And I think what Amsterdam's saying is true. I mean, it's not unusual now. I sound like Tom Jones. It's not unusual for pitchers to be throwing 94, 95, 96, 97. It isn't that unusual.
No.
But at the same time, spin rate has become, and it's interesting. You have curveballs, you have sliders, and now you have sweepers, and you also have the cut fastball, the sinker.
Yeah.
That's so hard on the arm, you cannot imagine. The only pitch that is not that hard on the arm is the fastball.
Correct.
Which would seem almost the opposite.
Counterintuitive is the
That's
word.
Right. Right. But, but again, here we are, and it looked like the Guardians were dead in the water.
Yeah. And they win.
And but determination counts for something. And you can't expect Jose Ramirez at 30 years of age, or at any age, to be great the whole season and just be carrying the team by himself, nor Josh Naylor. These players got off to abnormally hot starts, as did David Fry, and they all slumped at the same time.
Yeah. Well, the bad news is that Carrasco's pitching tonight against the Orioles.
No, the bad news is that Hedges is catching Carrasco, who is pitching.
So then that's an out every time he's up, rally kill.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's going to give up the long ball, and because if he doesn't place the ball just perfectly, it's out of the park. And he shouldn't be a starting pitcher in the big leagues, but be that as it may, that you have got to work your way through it. But again, that's the point of all this, is that you can use injuries as an excuse, but a lot of other teams have injuries. Some teams are luckier,
Yeah.
And well, actually,
and some
that's how Bauer spinned them over and rammed it into their ass until they bled and then choked them.
That's gotta hurt. Yeah.
Just bringing that up.
Oh, there's idiots who want us to sign him still. I mean, make him go away, please.
DJ Brobot, he goes, I really want Cookie to be sent to AAA so bad. I can always
what's he going to learn down there?
No, I can always predict when he's going to lose the game for us. When his name is added as the starting pitcher, is that when you know?
So can I. So can Vegas too. I mean, I bet the odds are pretty long on the Guardians tonight.
And my question to DJ Brobot is: are you referring to AAA roadside assistance or the minor leagues of baseball? So,
he needs a triptych to get where he's going.
Oh, that's old language. People won't remember.
Triptych. Does anybody? Does Steven Rhodes know what a triptych is?
No, what's that?
No, see, there you go.
There
Yeah,
you go. You just
they were.
proved my
It
point.
was these when you went on the turnpike. I remember my father when he would drive us when we were kids.
This
he
is
drove us
really
crazy.
old school, Steven.
He
Really
drove us crazy. Yeah, they give you this thing called a triptych, and what it was like directions on a pad.
It was a flip top map, really.
Yes.
One page did 20 miles, the next page did another 20 miles, and then the next page told you to get off the interstate. Then the next page told you where to turn left and right. It was basically Google Maps, but in a paper form in a pad. So it was great.
Yeah, that was what a triptych was. So yeah, we're old.
You can look it
enough
up.
to
I
remember.
mean, it's got to be photos of them on the internet somewhere. Some sad act would have posted that.
Hey, so Mule, do you think the Guardians will finish in first place like they are now through 108 games? I mean, they're looking good.
Well, look, what? It's 54 games left, and
They have to play 500 ball really the rest of the way out, and then they probably will finish.
Not
first.
necessarily, because they're playing so many games against the Royals and Twins that there's, every
Yeah,
game
right.
you win in head-to-heads
It's
really
double, yeah.
clobbers the opposition, but every
Yeah.
game you lose to those
Correct.
teams. And something else I'll tell you, Witt is not going to continue to hit like he has in the last month. I mean, he is now 17 points higher than Stephen Kwan. Kwan is batting a 332. Witt is at a 349 and has been hitting over 460 in the month. So that's an outlier. That's not going to continue. And the question is, just like, Ramirez got going, great start, disappears, team disappears, Naylor, not Bo's never appeared, but Josh starts out and hitting a ton of home runs that he just goes just stone cold. And Fry just went into the bucket, and he hit his first home run since I think they said May 31st or some such thing in last night's game. And, and now he's hitting again and they're winning. So I do believe that, again, asking me how they're going to do in 54 more games, there's so much that can happen.
Yeah.
But we've gotten through the first major slump where the lead went from about 10 games down to 4, and now it's back up to 6.
Yeah.
And we're doing this right this moment against the Phillies, who had the best record in baseball when we got there, and now against the Orioles, who have the best record in baseball with us. And and we were losing to the Detroit Tigers before that. So
yeah, I mean, our record against 500 teams this year is actually good. I mean, all those years we used to get absolutely blasted by the good teams that were over 500 and beat up on the fucking, win 18 out of 19 against the Tigers. This year, it's not quite the other way around, but it's better against the top teams. I mean, the Orioles, I think, are the best team in baseball as far as if you look at their roster and their talent. They just look outstanding.
And as far as answering your question, as long as the Guardians hit some long balls, you see, they can put up crooked numbers. And if this team gets 5 runs, their starting pitching can get you out of the fifth, into the 5th inning and out of the 5th inning and just put 5 innings in, which is what they've basically been doing, giving up 4 or fewer runs and just limiting the damage. The bullpen has just been unbelievable. And it's not just one guy. It's a whole series of relief pitchers. Barlow has been lights out. Gaddis has been lights out.
Yeah.
You got Hench's back. You've got, and then of course Clase has been the best closer in the game.
Yeah, he's having an MVP year. He is.
Yeah. So they will win 50% of their games if they continue to hit the long ball.
Yeah.
And I don't mean excessively, but in a timely way with men on base so they get some crooked numbers, because whenever they do that, I think the statistic that I saw was when I mean, it's crazy.
There's some really bizarre stat when they're
Like
leading at a certain point, they've won every single time.
Except one lost, and I want to say that if they're up in the seventh inning, that if they're like 82-1 or some such.
It's
crazy,
mental. It's absolutely mental stat. I forget what it is.
And not that that's going to necessarily continue statistically, but the pattern is there and it's established over this period of time. It ain't lucky at this point.
No, not at all.
And you're almost half a season of games right there.
So Naylor can hit the ball out of the park. Jose can hit it out of the park. Now, Fry, I don't think can hit it out of the park, but you got to get some help. And the help is, and the guy we just got,
Lois Lane.
Why am I?
Lane
Turner is. Why is that?
Lane.
What is Lane's last
Thomas.
name? Thomas.
Like Danny Thomas. Like Lane Thomas.
Yeah. Lane Thomas.
Lane Thomas. That's a great name.
He's a 17 home run a year guy. All right. That's
boy.
what he is. He had 28 2 years ago, but that was an outlier. But anything that we can pick up of guys, because last year we had guys who were 3 home run a year hitters.
Yep.
Quan has already hit 11 this year.
Yeah.
And that's right. Ron Shane brings up a good point. Now, Noel is kind of an interesting story. Where do you play him? Because you've got Thomas, who's probably going to settle in right or center. If he's playing right, then Noel is either going to be DHing or not playing. So Noel's going to have to find his at-bats at the major league level and convert them into long balls, because he is not going to be a big. He's like the guy who came from San Diego. Reyes.
Oh, God, yeah.
If he hits it and connects, it's going to go a long way. But yeah, he's given us 6 home runs this year, and again, it isn't that we have to be, the most powerful team in the league, but you've got to be able to turn mistakes into runs. And sometimes that means those hangers that we've been swinging and missing on for so much of the slump, have started to leave the park again. And that's really good. So
Moohead, I had a question for you in the panel.
Sure.
Guardian, I know this is sort of just, again, we're predicting the next 54 games. Guardians over or under 95 wins when they finish the year.
It's incredible because I said they were going to go 70 and 92. Is that embarrassing?
Right. That's what I said. Well, I
based
agree.
on right now, would you say over or under 95?
They have 54 left to play, and they've won 65 games.
66. They're 66 and 42.
They're 66 and 42 right now. All right. So what you're saying to me is, are they going to win 20? Are they going to win 29 more games
in the next 54?
Yeah. It's entirely possible.
That's slightly over 500, but that's
you saw how the wheels came off when they fell off, and they were scoring 0 runs. 0, 1, and 2 runs in an inordinate number of games in succession. And I think they should be able to do that. But if Bybee doesn't come back, if this turns into this shoulder injury becomes something that isn't a matter of rest, it's just a matter of, well, there's something wrong and we're sending him to the orthopedic people.
Yeah.
We're going to have a real problem just fielding starting pitching without a question. And depth becomes an issue, and you can't throw bullpen games like some teams are doing, because our bullpen is one of the most highly worked in all of baseball. So that could create a problem. You got to keep an eye on Logan Allen, who I don't think is a big league pitcher because I don't think he has a consistent out pitch, and I can consider him to be a 92-mile-an-hour fastball guy. And this is very reminiscent of the lefty who was on the mound yesterday for the Orioles, Rogers, who was 2-9 for his he was playing for Miami, the Marlins, who aren't a good team.
No.
But he's a guy with a 92-mile-an-hour fastball, and he uses that fastball as an element of surprise, and he likes to throw sliders and changeups. Well, it's a lot like Cookie.
Yeah.
You know, if Cookie throws an off-speed pitch and it's fat in the middle of the plate, it's going to leave the mark. And that's what happened to Rogers last night. And it was a wonderful day that he was in our neighborhood, don't you think?
Yes. I'm looking at the schedule for August and September, and there are winnable games here. There's like the D-backs and the Cubs and the Pirates and the Brewers, and there are games that the Guardians can win. There are games against Kansas City and the Twins coming up, and Tampa Bay, who always seems to beat our ass, and the Dodgers away. But yeah, I think we can go over 500 and
the problem in tonight's game is in succession, Rocchio and Hedges. I mean, you're going to start out.
Play.
Yeah, you're going to start out. No, they're just going to strike out.
Well, Rocchio will make the double play, and then Hedges will strike out the next inning.
Yeah, Stephen Kwan, then Lane Thomas, and the 2-hole Ramirez, the 3, Naylor, cleanup, Fry hitting 5th, Jimenez hitting 6th, Angel Martinez back in center field hitting 7th, and then you end up with Rocchio and Hedges, which is a real downer. And why we can't find a shortstop, I have no idea, but it's been plaguing this team ever since, God.
Lindor?
Well, yeah. Yeah. And
he's been shit too, so there you go.
Well, he's done better. He got off to a horrible start this year. Yeah. But again, you know, Angel Martinez can hit line drives, and he can hit. He's probably, as he sits right now at 22 years of age, a 10, maybe 12 home run a year guy. If he got his full, if he had his full 550, 600 at bats, that's what he would do.
Yeah.
Jimenez is kind of the same. You know, he's kind of a doubles hitter, but he can hit 8 to 10 home runs in a season, maybe more. Fry is another guy who's erratic that way. He's more of a guy who finds holes in the outfield, and he can gap some balls, but yeah, you have to groove him a pitch for it, and he needs to pull it to really get it out of most major league parks. And you know, Naylor is, I think, having his best power year, but he's consistently around 20 home run guy, and he's already had like 23, I think. Ramirez is already at 28, and we know that he can hit 30 home runs. Lane Thomas, like I said, is 17, and Kwan has proven that he's got a little more. He's looking more like Ichiro. He can pull that ball down the right field line, and he needs to get something in on his hands to get his hands fast through the ball to be able to drive it, preferably an off-speed pitch so his bat speed can carry it out. I wanted to mention one thing because everybody was screaming, you know, what about our great minor league players that we can bring up? And Manzardo's name keeps coming up. But I saw that Manzardo finally hit a home run at AAA, but it was only 98 miles an hour off his bat. And the reason I say only 98 miles an hour off his bat is that's what David Fry's was, 98.9 miles an hour. It was exactly the same number that Manzardo's was, that he pulled to left field for the 3-run home run that gave us the big 5-1 lead yesterday. But 98 miles an hour off your bat is not going to result in many home runs. If you look at Big Christmas, if you look at Noel, and you look statistically, that ball is leaving his bat 107 to 110 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And he's not roping line drives. He's hitting high, towering fly balls. God forbid if he hit one right, dead
if he got
square
one,
in the meat.
Yeah.
Oh,
If he hit one well, yeah.
All right.
I saw a base hit that he hit that was 112 off his bat. And he went, it got by the shortstop so quickly, the guy thought his life went through his, he lived his life in a second, that thing, again, Manzardo and DJ Brobot saying he's not ready for the bigs. He proved his bat's slow. And that could be, like Russell Branyan, the kiss of death.
Yeah.
I'm not writing him off, but he's got opposite field ability to hit the ball the opposite way. But he looks like an early version of Jim Thome before he took supplements. I think Manzardo
Whey protein, you mean, right?
right. Or somebody slipped it into his medication. I think that's all right.
Well,
So that's what we're going to see in tonight's game. It's 10 after 7 is the beginning of that game.
Hey, Mr. Mouet, I know we haven't mentioned much of the Cavs but so what's going on with Donovan Mitchell? Are you guys trading him or y'all?
Oh, no. He's committed.
He's here.
So he already said he's committed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. So they're running it back, and this is very consistent with what I said before, which is Kenny Atkinson was Dan Gilbert's guy. The other guys in the front office were more interested in the other guy Borrego, who came from New Orleans, from the Pelicans. And, of course, you know who won. And I was going to say he could win an arm wrestling contest, but I won't go there because that's not nice.
The Cavs look good, though. I like the Cavs, man. You guys are up-and-coming young team, especially like with Jared Allen. I like Jared Allen, too.
Well, you might like him, but I sure as hell don't because he's soft. But be that as it may, he's back. And obviously, Dan Gilbert has parked all of the blame at J.B. Bickerstaff's door. Now, I'm not going to argue that J.B. Bickerstaff was selfishly coaching for himself and didn't give a shit about his players because he lost his players right around the All-Star break. And it was so apparent by the end of the season, when the front office, there was a real disconnect in the organization. When you bring Marcus Morris up to play and the coach refuses to play him, and then you find out that the reason why he didn't play him is because Marcus Morris had a tendency, he was a tough guy, to speak his mind, and JB was having none of that. Yeah. And and JB lost his faith in Jared Allen, and JB overplayed, guys too many minutes and crippled the team. And I understand all that. But to give Kenny Atkinson George Niang and say, okay, with your up-tempo game, go ahead. George is going to have a fucking heart attack.
That's like giving Maniac Johnny Damon and Joe Duncan.
Yeah.
What do you have to do? Do Maniac having George Niang. Well,
Johnny Damon. That was something that I had forgotten about. Yeah. Opposite field pop out to shortstop. I mean,
oh God, he had fly ball power, didn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, so he was horrible.
I don't know if you guys covered it, but what do y'all think of Klay Thompson signing with the Mavs? He's gonna be teaming up with Luka and Kyrie. It's gonna be a powerful duo.
He's getting old.
Think so?
Here's the thing, and again, what he can do is he can't, and this was the problem with the Warriors in the end, and a guy like Klay Thompson was never the number one option, but he could get his own, as they say. He could score the ball. given in a one-on-one situation. But now with the injuries that he's had with age, now he's off ball. He's looking at a Kyle Korver situation where you have 2-star basketball players who are going to be attracting an incredible amount of attention. And when those players have the ball in their hand, you got to know the offense, run through screens, and camp out in the areas, the dead soft spots of teams' defenses, because they're going to be committing more than one man, whether it's to Doncic or to Irving or whatever. And so that's where he can shine. And if his legs are with him, he can still drain threes and he can still score points.
Mm-hmm.
But, I don't see him. That's not a big three, but it was just like when we had LeBron, having Kyle Korver wasn't a big three, but he was played a really important role on that team.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? LeBron can just dictate the draft. He just tells the Lakers, draft my son. It's like just crazy. I'm not saying his son will be good, but it's just, to be able to strong arm the front office like that, that's just insane, like how much power he has.
And the sad part of it is I don't sense that Bronny has anything to say about this, except he's doing what he wants to do, but with it comes these currents of bad vibes. And now the articles are that there were teammates who felt that he was giving them the cold shoulder because he was untouchable and blah, 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 blah. And that's why Bronny said publicly that whatever assignment they gave him, whether it was to go down to the developmental league or whatever, that he would do it.
Yeah.
Because it's like the guy who's the number one pick, who is a complete bust. And you're going to hear about that, Ryan Leaf, for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And Bronny James can never live up to his father's ability, and it's unfortunate. And I feel bad for the young man, but at the same time, he could have walked away.
Yeah.
He could have gotten his degree and walked away from the madness.
Yeah.
But the lure
or something. Yeah.
he believes that he can play this game. Well, he's going to get a lot more than he bargained for. And I feel bad because he doesn't deserve the slander that he's getting just because of his father. That's not right. Yeah. But before I get out of here, I promised I would get back because I am a boxing historian of sorts, and never did I think I would see the day. I mean, you know what the worst part of it is?
What?
This is an international competition, the most prestigious one, the Olympics,
sure.
Right?
I've seen it in person. The Olympic
and
boxing.
If you watch The Godfather, you saw, and this is just coming into my mind now. This is not prepared. This is how my warped mind thinks. Sonny Corleone, James Caan.
Yeah. Don't go to the toll booth.
Yeah, right. And he was married to Talia Shire. Yo, Adrian. Before she was Adrian, right?
Yeah.
And he slapped her around. And, the thing is Italian women are used to getting slapped around by men, but in the movies, for Christ's sake, not in the Olympics. That was one of the saddest things I've ever seen. I 46 seconds. And that Italian woman was frustrated and crying afterwards because it's like, that wasn't even fair. And something, the way that the Olympic Committee responded was, they had prepared for this, and there was no time and they couldn't take away their right to participate in the Olympics. Put them in there with men.
Wow.
See how they like it now. If they've been taking supplements or whatever, hormones, put them in with men. But you could tell the body difference, the muscle mass between the two. It just wasn't fair. And, you know, and this, maybe it's my age, or maybe it's because I am a science-based person. I do believe, by the way, that nature makes mistakes. I don't believe that God, as he's referred to, is infallible. I believe that there are things that either work their way out like dinosaurs, you know, or Michael Jackson, who just eventually works his way out with, you know, anesthetizing himself.
Oh.
But there's all kinds of, which is going back to the beginning of the show and his hair catching on fire.
What a segue.
Yeah. Or Prince, you know, don't get on the elevator. You know, didn't the elevator take us? Let's go crazy. Yeah. No. So at any rate, and that's unusual that he would have written that lyric and died in an elevator. It would have been more dramatic if he died on an escalator, because he would have just been slowly just descending at any rate. But people could have seen him in a mall that way. He could have gone back to Minnesota, to the big mall. And
you think I can get you to digress even more here?
No, but the bottom line is that this was not, in my mind, there can't be this many mistakes. Okay.
Yeah.
You cannot tell me, and I'm sorry, and I'm not pointing at individuals and saying you, and you.
Yeah.
I'm just saying you can't go through all this time that I've lived. And Jorgensen was the first one to have the sex change operation, right? If you don't remember Christine Jorgensen, she was the first one, right? And then we looked at Richard Raskind, who became Renee Richards, who played Wimbledon. He was an amateur male player who played, you know, and he could not beat.
He sucked, basically, or she sucked.
But, you know, but I will say this about Renee Richards, and I've said this before on the program. Renee Richards wasn't some whack job, you know. When his identity was Richard Raskind or thereafter, he was an accomplished eye doctor. I mean, like a surgeon. Sure. I mean, like top notch in his/her field. And when he made the decision to have the operation, he had a thrill by playing on the women's tour, but, you know, didn't use it as a source of publicity.
All right.
When she was done playing tennis, she went back. She's the head of a ophthalmological hospital and is a top person in the field to this day.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's people that are getting on with their lives. There's 8 billion people alive in the world right now.
Right.
And if you just take 1% of that, that's 80 million people. So there's a lot of people out there that can you know, be affected by this sort of thing. So
yeah,
you know, let them get on with it. You know.
Well, what I'm going to say is this about the whole transgender thing. If this is your identity, welcome to it. You have the freedom to be who you need to express yourself to be.
Yeah.
But it is not a source of publicity. It is not a source of getting on TV reality shows.
Facts.
It is a decision that you make predicated on what you genuinely feel was a mistake, as far as, you know, within chromosomes or whatever in your body, and you're trying to rectify a mistake that nature made, and you're trying to get to feeling right. And I get that, but I don't understand the sheer commonality of this now. And now they want to be able to exert themselves in physical arenas, and it's like, get on with your damn life. But no, you're an amateur boxer and you're not going to bitch slap a woman around, because if you tried to do that, like Sonny Corleone and you weren't a member of the mob,
Yeah, it's criminal.
they would
It's criminal.
they
They
would
sort you out.
haul you to jail.
They'd sort you
And
out.
and that was one of the saddest Olympic moments I've ever seen, because that woman who lost from Italy, and I'm not saying she would have gone very far, but that was her dream.
Yeah.
And never did she think for a moment that that could have happened in the Olympic Games.
Wow.
And you know, we have to be able to separate things, and you know, and there will be a backlash when I say this kind of stuff, but I have no problem with people changing their lives to the way that they want their lives to be. I just don't need it publicized, and I don't need them whacking people around like that. Just don't need that. That doesn't help the cause. And for the rest of the people, and you never hear about the ones who go transgender and then go back. You don't hear about that, except that you do have gender reveal parties, and that's not the source of this either. I mean, for God's sakes, do I have a cancer reveal party? I mean, let's be a little bit fair about this. It's like, if this is a decision that, wait, we'll do it. If this is a decision that you make in your lifetime, hi, I'm Casey Kasem. If this is a decision that you choose to make, that you're no longer a man and you're now a woman, then you don't need a reveal party, do you? Now back to the countdown. You know, it's, I don't know. We live in a world of publicity.
I mean, everybody, you know, there's attention seeking on all sides. So
the internet just hypes it up even more, you know.
I just wish it would all stop. Like, to me, that's just not a significant contribution. And this thing at the Olympics hurts the cause of transgenderism. It really does, because having a physical advantage over somebody and whooping ass on them isn't what the transgender movement is all about. And it hurts. And it gives people who want to refuse people the right to make that choice, it makes their voice louder and stronger. And that isn't fair. So, you know, I want this to be what it is. And freedom is one thing, but you don't have freedom to whoop ass on someone like that. That's a sanctioned body.
Yeah, I agree with that. You could really say that for every platform. Like when you have extremists like that try to represent, you know, your beliefs, and they, you know, they make a fool out of themselves. It kind of makes everybody else in your group look bad, you know. That's where like generalizations come from, stuff like that, stereotypes.
Very true, Steven.
Oh, yeah. Don't pay attention to CO Dead. You know what he is? He's one of those people. He's neither male nor female. He's not even fucking human. Don't even pay attention. You know?
Wow. So how's the weather been?
I do this every show, don't I?
Yeah.
Well, it's still hot as hell. Hi, I'm Dick Goddard.
And I'm dead.
I am. I'm quite stiff, but not in the way that I'd hoped. The weather up in Northeast Ohio, because I'm up higher.
You're higher.
I'm an angel now. I play the harp.
Everything.
Did I ever tell you I play the harp now?
Wow, that's cool. That's great.
It's wonderful. At any rate, the weather here is still blazing hot. It was supposed to rain. It won't rain. And what I'm going to say next, I don't want it to be taken as blasphemous, but for fucking God's sakes, make it rain. Make it rain. The lawns are totally brown. The grass is dying. And all I can do up here is play my harp.
Wow.
It isn't right. I want to make it rain.
Wow. I knew that would upset Amsterdam, because Amsterdam bangs on about 110-degree heat for 6 months out of the year. Well, just leave fucking Florida. Come to Europe or something.
Yeah, but at least the weather probably in Florida is a lot more tropical, considering like Texas, where it's low humidity, and Arizona, where it's dust storms there.
Wow.
Well, in Florida, got a hurricane coming in.
Really?
On the fringe of a hurricane. So
a fringe hurricane. Yeah.
Yep. So,
Wow.
but the weather here, they're saying it's going to rain tonight. We'll see. The sun is shining as I'm speaking,
The sun
and
is shining.
and we'll see what happens tomorrow, where they say it's got an 80% chance of rain. We'll see if it happens
Well, I
because
think you're in a little microclimate because there's areas in that part of Ohio that are microclimates that don't get wet, don't get snow, don't get
well,
thick.
the area that I
Yeah.
live in, it is a little more elevated, but it seems like every time the rain's coming this way, it's kind of going to the north or going to the south of us and missing us.
Yeah,
But a lot of rain in Pennsylvania, a lot more rain in
correct.
Pennsylvania than there's been in Ohio. So it's strange. It's going through Columbus, but somehow it like parts like the Red Sea when it's approaching our area. I don't get it, but
Yeah,
we'll see what
it
happens.
doesn't want to rain on a cow. That's what it is.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to watch the Guardians tonight, and I'm going to hope that they play a
Wow.
good baseball game and if we can get those other two teams to start losing more, if we can get this lead back up to 9-10 games, that really is going to hurt the hell out of those teams. It's going to make every head-to-head like the one-game playoff that we lost to the Rays years ago.
Oh, I like the preseason, the postseason format where there's now 6 teams and there's not that one game.
That was just crushing.
That was just nonsense. So,
and you know that it was the guy who threw against us was Cobb, the guy we just got.
Wow,
he was the one who pitched against us in that game.
Wow, I didn't remember that.
I like the best of 3 in the wild card though. I hated the one game playing. I thought it was stupid.
Yeah. But season ended quickly. All right, everybody. It's nice seeing you again, Stephen, and Moose. Always.
Oh, I got one very quick comment. I'd like to say that I don't know which every single American news outlet shows the Olympic medal table as total medals, but just so you guys know, the United States and Great Britain are tied with 9 gold medals right now. So if you look at the proper medal table, you'll see that we're tied.
How many more days of the Olympics are there?
Oh, it's another week. You got the track and field this week, so it's another week. So I think like next Sunday or Saturday.
Codette, so what are you doing this weekend, Mo? That's what he's asking.
Oh, what am I doing this weekend? Oh, I'll probably be out singing karaoke somewhere. I'm always cruising around. I'll be eating sushi somewhere. I'll be, just doing what Northeast Ohioers do.
You're not going to go down basket weaving with the Amish, are you?
No.
Raising a barn?
No.
No barn raising. Okay.
No, I have no work ethic. The Amish would have no use for me whatsoever.
No.
But it was good seeing you guys. And thanks everybody in the chat room for showing up. I appreciate it. And we'll be back again on Monday. Until then.
More panelists. Come on.
I'll be back on there. I'll be on the show now.
All right, good. We need more people on.
Thanks,
everybody. And we'll see you Monday. Hasta la vista, Pastor Heads. Good night.